Welcome to another edition of Mailbag. Remember, these are comments and questions that you guys leave on my channel that I do my humble best to try and answer, offer comment, or just throw out to the wider community for somebody out there to help you out. As with a number of recent mailbags, I'm doing one header and then the mailbags will follow. So if you sort of read the next mailbag and it looks the same as this, that's the reason why. But before we get going, we must address the normal parish notices, which are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff, this sort of stuff, and this sort of stuff, you need to hit the subscribe icon. Save time, hit the bell icon as well. You'll be notified when videos hit the channel. If you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And also, I highly encourage you to leave comments down below. I do read them. I respond to every single comment. And sometimes I even use those comments as subject of videos that I will film in the future. And finally, down there is the TMTG community. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, which I think is a real bargain, you can support the production of videos on the channel. Down there are also the Instagram and Facebook tags where other stuff related to the channel will appear. But now, back to the video. Okay, next one comes from Craig Broadfoot. To do with the instant gratification plug-in, the S2400 and Go video I did in March 21. And Craig writes, not sure about this one. The step sequencer looks fiddly on the small screen. Is there any kind of song mode, or is it more about live jamming? So I'm still learning the S2400. Okay, it's, as I've said numerous times, I've kind of found the platform a little bit intimidating, but I am making progress, and there will be another series of videos coming shortly once I've sort of kind of understood some of the concepts a little bit better. The first two videos would really sort of get out of the box and get going, so that's what instant gratification and doing the upgrade. And funny enough, I've got another upgrade to do because Brad released one last week. Together with some new features, the firmware is still being developed, the manual is still being developed. There are other people, Alex Ball, that are out there who are doing videos that kind of is meant to be the video manual for the product as well. However, my current take on the step sequencer is that it's designed to trigger the pads. Each sequence can be gained together to make it to, you effectively can create a sequence, and then you can create several other sequences, and then you create effectively a play sequence through those sequences. So how those sequences play together. And effectively you can build your songs up that way, but it is still triggering the pads. Now you can put samples behind the pads rather than just drum sounds, so you can build it up that way, but that's kind of how the step sequencer works. So it needs to, if you want it to run in concert with something else, you need to sort of MIDI the clocks up. So that's the first thing, but I've yet to master how this all works. But the video that you're responding to was basically about me getting the unit out of the box, turn it on, and yes, you can use it in that live mode. And once you've mastered the banks, etc., in the hands of a live jock, I think this will be something, you'll see some spectacular grooves being created on the S2400. I think really once it's got into one of these guys that can just make this thing happen, you'll get some really interesting stuff. And there's people posting in the S2400 Reddit group all the time with their beats they're making. But I think the power of this unit will be laying down tracks in the studio where the rhythmic sequences can be programmed prior to walking through the door. And that's kind of why I think that is going to be the sort of, you can program the sequences, you can save them off to an SD card, go to the studio, plug it in, hit go, and the whole thing loads up in time with your master sequence and master clock. I think that's where there's going to be some power. But you can use it in either way, is the way I take it from where I am at the moment in my learning journey on this particular platform. This one made me smile. This is from long-time commentator Gary Robinson. and it's in response to if the keys it's the keys that make it heavy, and video is clickbait. And Gary writes, hilarious that you got accused of uploading a clickbait video. There are a lot of dickheads out there. This channel couldn't be further from being a clickbait channel. Some people just like dishing it out, dishing out the aggro. Gary, thanks for the continued support. Yes, as you know, I try to be factual and ensure that this channel is not sensationalist. And it's an interesting. I've gone through. This is response number 21 out of this mailbag recording session, and there was sort of a few back that was sort of very sort of talking about the style of presentation and not being an expert and that sort of stuff. Well, fair enough. I mean, that's your opinion. That's the individual's opinion. But he did have some valid points in there, and I take those on board. But yeah, we tried not to be sensationalist. I'd rather get reviews and subscribers based on merit and not tricking people into watching videos. And a lot of these videos that you see that are clickbait, they're just trying to get you to watch things because they want lots of people to watch them. They have very, very eye-catching titles that are not really what the video is about. They have thumbnails that actually depict something that's not in the video. I've had that several times. You know, you're watching something because you've seen a thumbnail that shows you something, and you don't actually never see that thing in the video itself. So I try not to do that. I think the biggest issue I'm having at the moment is multi-angle production and the sound of drum devices. I'm really struggling with drum machines at the moment. I don't really want to have to get the door out every time I want to record drum feeds for a simple video. And I'm kind of having problems, and I'm pretty sure I know what's causing the issue, and it's the preamps on the devices. If I use the preamp direct, it works fine. If I use the preamp through something, it kind of doesn't really work with the bottom end. It works fine with sort of the mids and the highs, but it doesn't work particularly with the bottom end. So I'm working on that at the moment. There's a lot of research has to be done because I just don't want to go and buy something that and I end up in the same situation again. And the multi-angle stuff is really interesting as well, because since I changed the camera setup, and this is by far a better camera for doing channel recording on, but it has highlighted a problem in that the voice goes out of sync very, very quickly between the different cameras, and that is something I need to address, and I think I know how to address it. And part of it is actually to do with the fact that this camera works at 29.9 frames per second, and the other camera is working at 30 frames per second, and that's part of where the issue is, because they're slightly drifting on their frames per second, and they need effectively a timecode generator to keep them both in sync. Hey ho, we are where we are. Another small YouTube creator problem.